Welcome everyone to what can only be described as the peak, the climactic highs of motorcycle cool. I know a lot of you are going to go, that's not cool, what are you talking about? Well, this video is going to run through why these crappy old bikes are the coolest bikes you will ever own. Okay, let's get into it. So this is a BMW R1200RT X police bike. A lot of you will remember this from the budget bike battle. This is the championship winning, I suppose you could call it, bike from the Bratislava trip. So it had Chardonnay on the back, or Chantel, depending on what day it was and I wanted to call her. And I want to talk to you today about why these older, cheap, and let's face it, look, jokes aside, this isn't a cool thing to look at, is it? You assume it's not, because you go, oh, look at that old crappy thing and that nerd riding it. Like, it's for grandpas. But I want to explain a bit about why these types of bikes, in terms of cheap, not seen as desirable at all motorcycles, can potentially be some of the best bikes you've ever owned. So let's get on it. Let me open my little policeman's pouch here with my waterproofs in there. Great little slimline pannier there just to start off with. You can put all sorts of paraphernalia and contraband up in that hump, the aero seat hump. And I wanted to do this video today because this bike has been won by a subscriber and it's going to disappear, so I thought I'd just do one last little ride, because believe it or not, this is actually probably one of my favourite bikes that I've owned in the last few years. So anyway, let's not waffle on about it too much. I'll just give you a quick little walk around. Excuse my hippo bag skip in the background there. Yeah, that's what it looks like. If you want to see more on this bike, don't forget to check out the Budget Bike Battle Bratislava trip. I'll put a link in the description. It's probably one of the best things I've ever done. And let's hope that it starts. Oh, before we go, look, this is a useful little tool. This is my little bag here, which I love. Official BMW, no less. Bought that off eBay, 20 quid. Need some fuel, neutral. There she goes, sparking into life. Like the adorable, reliable Labrador puppy that she is. Also, this video may sound slightly different and look slightly different just because I've been stuck in Cadiz. My van broke down out there. I still haven't got it back and all my kit's in there. So pulling away, we've got the beautiful Torquay 1200 air-cooled, or oil-cooled as the pedants like to refer to it as. Let's just put the windscreen up there. So did you hear the difference in noise there? Beautiful, great big windscreen. Yeah, so 1200, heavy, slow, but a plodder. Shaft drive for low maintenance, beautiful comfortable seat, soggy suspension. It's absolutely perfect for just getting on and munching miles. But anyway, this isn't a review of this bike. There's enough content on that already. I want to talk to you about why it's so bloody cool. Because to most people, it's not cool, is it? Cool is a very interesting word. And I think I've tried to, oh, big bump. I've tried to define or think about what cool is. And I mean, maybe even the word cool is probably uncool now. To say cool, you've got to say like sick or marvelous. I don't know what the current lingo is. But generally, in the past, cool things have been what other people don't consider cool. So it's trying to forge your own pathway and have some individuality in what you choose to wear, what you choose to drive, what job you want to do, where you want to live, all of these things. It's against the mainstream, against the main flow. And I think if you are confident in your choice of being against the mainstream and the main flow, oh, me. He's a big boy. Cheers, boss. Oh, I've just got a warning light. What is it? Oh, fuel, okay. Then you can kind of make anything cool. Hey guys, as we're talking about feelings and emotions with motorbikes today, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about our paid partner, BetterHelp. As I'm sure you guys know, I've been really proactive with mental health over the years and shared many of my own struggles with you. And I know from first-hand experience how difficult it is to talk to someone, and sometimes these obstacles can feel like mountains to conquer, and it's really difficult to get the help you need. Especially as we're all big, strong bikers, right? I've been in and out of therapy over the last 20 years, and sadly, the old joke about never seeing a motorcycle outside a therapist's office is not true. I've learned some invaluable coping skills, which I use daily to get my head back together when I'm not feeling that great. And I've shared some of those with you on my Permission to Talk tour series. However, I am not a qualified therapist, so a lot of those stories are anecdotal just to help you feel a little less alone when you're really going through it. And this is why I use BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a credentialed professional who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. First, you go to their site, you can use my link, which is betterhelp.com/44teeth. You answer a few questions and BetterHelp will connect you with a professional who has years of experience of dealing with the struggles just like yours. You can do it from a phone or a computer. I use the BetterHelp app, which I can log into my video sessions at a location and time that's convenient to me. It took me less than 48 hours to be matched with my therapist, and I was set up and in my first session in no time. I'm sure, as you know, when you're feeling a bit rubbish, it's really difficult to motivate yourself to try and go out there and find a therapist on your own. It feels like a massive hurdle to overcome. But with BetterHelp, it was super easy and supportive. So please, if you are struggling, talk to someone. We all need a little help sometimes. Right, back to the video.
So that word, that feeling of like, oh yeah, I feel good. A lot of it again is the perception, what you're showing off to other people, and it's quite a vain, vacuous thing that you're trying to define. And the older you get, and I don't want to sound like a grandpa here, especially because I'm riding an RT, but the less you give a shit about what other people think about stuff. And the coolest people in the world are the people who don't give a shit. So how does that relate to why I find this bike, I'm trying to convince you that it is cool? How does it relate? He's on his phone. Come on, love, I can't get through there, mate. I've got a bus here. Oh, f***ing hell, it's like bloody Piccadilly Circus down here. But again, because I don't particularly worry about this motorcycle, I can go in a bush, scrape it, doesn't bother me. We'll get onto that in a minute. So cool is kind of what you make it. Like how desirable something is doesn't necessarily make it cool. Like I would assume, like on Instagram, for example, like this vacuous platform of shittery, like a Panigale or an S1000 or like proper sexy bikes, they're considered cool because if the people who aspire to own those, and I'm not discrediting that, I love those bikes. Okay, this is a different way of looking at the conversation. The people that own those, they think that because they own them, other people are going to like them more, and that's a lot of. And I'm not saying that is a bad thing, by the way. I've done that multiple times. Thought, oh yeah, people are going to think I'm cool if I've got this latest bike or this cool T-shirt. When you really drill down into it, is that cool? Like just aspiring to pretend to be someone else that maybe you can't afford, and you're stretching your limit just so you can have this thing. Because you think that people are going to respect you more because you've got this item. I think it's cooler to own, and I mean own in terms of have this and absolutely own it in terms of perception. I think that is cooler because it's like, oh, look at that guy, he's living his best life. Because I can tell you this is the most important part of this video, and I'm telling you this because I know a lot of people can't afford those big, expensive, beautiful bikes, which are incredible. But have no fear, because the coolest bike in the world is the one that you like the most. It's as simple as that. Go on, feel the power. Oh yeah, a bit of clutch slip. So yes, the coolest bike in the world is the one that you like the most. Forget about everyone else, it's irrelevant. And I think if you commit to that, people will find it cool. Like this is perceivably a perception of an absolute dog shit bike. But I love this thing. I think it's brilliant. I like it because I've had experiences with it. I've done things with it. I rode it to Bratislava. I went around Brno GP race circuit on it. I've had brilliant laughs on it. I've had adventures with it. And it's those things which make you enjoy your vehicle or whatever the most. And that's why, and I think that's also related to why new bikes, people say, oh, they're soulless, they haven't got anything, there's nothing there. Well, there's nothing there because they're too new to have had experiences impressed upon them. Like when you first buy a new bike, sure, there's a great experience of going, oh wow, I'm proud of myself because I've managed to afford this awesome thing. Like that is, yeah, sure, that's a memory and something that you'll never forget whenever you can afford to buy your first dream big bike or whatever. But they are soulless because you haven't done anything with them, you haven't bonded with it. Whereas this old jalopy of shit is cheap as chips. I can leave it anywhere. I don't fuss over it. It's just my buddy when we go places. Anyway, let's fill up. I'll just remove my little flippy bag here. Put that down there, easy to extract. I don't want to put too much fuel in this because I'm giving it away and I'm really tight. Oh, super unleaded. Look at that. The new owner's going to get a nice bonus there. 8, 9. Are we going to stop? Oh, 5 off. 10. There we go. OCD action complete. See, he loves it. Is that an old Triumph? Thank you, sir. Pull. Let's try and keep that receipt safe. I'll lock it into my Quadlock magnetic pouch. Look at that, never in doubt. With my massive Spinnaker windscreen. Spinnaker. It's Cows Week soon, I quite like to go down there. Anyway, so where was I? Yes, experiences. Let's go the back Nadgery way, shall we? I mean, it is quite Nadgery down here, especially in summer when everything's overgrown. We can pop the windscreen down, there we go. Look at that, electric window. £2,000 this bike cost. I'm so fortunate, I've been so fortunate to be able to ride some of the most incredible motorcycles in the world. And I'm so grateful for those opportunities. But I can tell you right now that even if I had a brand new Panigale V4, right now, the enjoyment levels are similar. See you later, mate. Maybe I might even enjoy this more because I wouldn't want to take a Panigale down here. Look at it, Nadgery is hell. And I wouldn't want to be like, oh, I don't want to, come across something and drop it on this gravel in the middle of the road. So I guess I'm trying to say that don't worry if you feel inadequate that you can't afford the latest and greatest motorcycles, because the enjoyment level is very, very similar. What you've got to do is just find something that you really like. And it doesn't matter what it looks like or what anyone else says about it. If you like it, that's the coolest bike in the world. There's so much vanity in this modern society where it makes people feel like shit because they're like, oh, well, I don't have a great job, I can't afford stuff, and blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about it, you don't need it. But what you will need to do is you need to experience your bike. So whatever bike you've got, you need to love it, you need to go places in it, and you need to bond with it. And if you've never travelled abroad, I know a few people haven't, you've got to go on these adventures. You've got to go places. You don't have to be abroad, obviously. I know that's expensive in itself. And this is a little bit left field, what I'm about to say. But I think that as objects age, not only do you experience things with that bike or car or whatever, but I think that that those experiences, that energy, and this is a bit out there, but that energy impresses itself upon those objects. So you can feel the history. You can feel, it's like when you walk down like a classic build, like an ancient building, you can feel the history there. It's not just like, oh yeah, that looks old. I think you'll all agree that walking into a massive cathedral, yes, it's an impressive thing, particularly being built, 600 years ago, how they even did it. It has an extra sense about it that we, in this modern world, don't really, we can't explain, but we can certainly pick up on and tune into. It's like a classic Mustang or something like that. It's got an extra level to it. And I'm not saying this bike is like a classic Mustang, but the experiences it's had, good and bad, I think they're ingrained in these things somehow. I mean, that's a whole debate and topic for another time, but I think it adds to the experience of the ride. I mean, yes, the brakes aren't very good. And it's a bit clunky and a bit rattly, and the clutch is weird and makes a knock every time you sort of apply the throttle. I think the clutch is actually going. And the rear brake still doesn't work on the way since riding it back from Bratislava. But even after the trip, you know, me and Boothie rode back from Bratislava when all the filming was done, and it was really enjoyable until his bike broke and we had to sit in a services and figure out what was going on. But it was a really enjoyable process. Thanks, buddy. And I now, like, and I understand why people, when they love their bike so much, why we spend so much money on our bikes. People who don't get it will be like, oh, well, why have you spent £5,000 on upgrading that £3,000 motorcycle? You could have just gone out and bought a much better one. Like, yes, that is a valid point. But it's because people love those objects and it makes them feel so good when they ride it. And let's face it, motorcycle technology, since 2005, K5 Gixxer, for example, that sort of era, we haven't moved on that much in terms of power. It's all just been electronic nibbles. So they're all the basic same machine. And I think it's great. Like, I love upgrading and playing with old bikes and thinking, like, sadly, I've got to let this go to its new owner, who seems like a nice bloke, actually. But I would have loved to have gone overspent on it. I've got some R9T wheels, which will fit straight in this, just because I wanted to see what it's like doing it. I just want to see what it's like. So please don't despair if you've got no hair and smelly stained underwear. There's an answer there, and you shouldn't care what people think and do in their spare time. But just don't despair. Choose the thing that you like. And again, I get asked the question a lot. Oh, what bike should I get? What's the best thing? What should I do? Yeah, I'm happy to advise you. But the only person you need to satisfy is yourself. And if you want a crappy old RT for £2,000 because you want to go on an adventure and you want to look like a policeman, then that's absolutely fine by me. This bike has opened my eyes to quite a lot, actually, and I'm thankful for that. It's opened my eyes to getting older, I think, and I understand. Like, the older you get, the less you do give a shit about other people, which is why older motorcyclists do tend to ride stuff like this, because they're actually really good bikes and they don't give a shit. And I think that's the coolest thing. I've actually done more miles on this bike since I've had it, like a year, than I have on my brand new GS. There you go. And then we touched on it earlier, but we can talk about how you can leave it places. Like, I rode this to the airport knowing that no one's going to want to steal it, and that makes me feel good. It makes me relaxed. It makes me calm. Like, I could drive this across Europe and be like, yeah, I don't think anyone's going to nick it. I think we're okay. And I think I'd be right in that assessment. First of all, it's too heavy to steal, but it's an important thing for me, especially these days when it's so hard to have a motorcycle not go missing. It's an important thing to consider. Like, does it make your life better? I think that's what you need to consider when you're buying a bike or buying anything. Is it going to make your life better? Go on, lad. Whee! I mean, it's fast enough. Whee! Especially when it's really heavy and the brakes don't work and you've got convertible Mercedes braking on corners they don't need to brake on. Let's just put that windscreen up a bit more. Look at that! And it handles it just it has, yes, it's not a race machine, but it's got its own character, and I think it's brilliant. So let's wind this up now. Let's bring it back to the whole cool thing. What is cool? I've tried to project my position. It's the confidence that makes you attractive, like as a person, as a friend to talk to or whatever, or as looking for a potential mate. It's the confidence. So if you do have a shit old bike, have the confidence to be proud of it. That's what makes you cool. Right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this little trip down memory lane for me, really. Oh, nice lane discipline there, love. Well done. If I had the blues and twos, I'd do her. Cheers, boss. So look, I love you all, and I'll see you soon. So look, don't forget to check out the Budget Bike Battle stuff if you haven't seen it. There's a link in the description. Check out BetterHelp, which, again, you can't probably see it. There's a talk sticker down here near my groin. I really want to try and work with them because it's a cause close to my heart. Ta-da! Well done. Well done.